FamousAmerican3rdGrade. I was born on March 3rd, 1847 in Edinburgh, Scotland. I'm the inventor of the telephone. My first invention was at the age of 11. It was a machine to get husks off wheat easier. It was quite successful. My brother Melly and I built the little man as teenagers. And the robot made visible speech or the word mama. Pretty soon after that, my little brother, in 1868, I started my first job as a teacher. Soon after, my younger brother died of an illness. Then my older brother Melly dies too, and I'm the last son alive in my family. After I moved to Canada, but I didn't stay long, I moved to Boston, Massachusetts in 1871 to teach the Boston School for Deaf Mutes. Isn't it funny that I met Helen Keller when I was teaching Deaf and the Blind? Soon after, I started to work on the multi-telegraph. I fell in love with Mabel Hubbard, then soon we were engaged to get married. In 1876, at the age of 29, I finished inventing the telephone. I told my friend to help me try it out and asked him to come here over the phone, and he heard me. On June 9th, 1876, the telephone was awarded first place at the Centennial Exhibition for Inventions. Then on July 9th, 1877, the Bell Telephone Company was officially started. On July 11th, 1877, Mabel and I got married. In February, the telephone directory was issued. Can you believe it only listed 8 names? On May 8th, 1878, my daughter Eliza was born, and I was very happy. The Western Union Telegraph Company and the Bell Telephone Company went to court and argued that it was not the newly formed Bell Telephone Company to develop the telephone. But the Western Union lost the case in 1879. In 1880, the French government awarded me a Volta Prize for scientific achievement in electricity. With my prize money, I set up a Volta laboratory. On February 15th, 1880, my second daughter, Marianne, was born. I was very happy, so excited. On November 10th, 1882, I became a citizen of the United States of America. In 1887, I met Helen Keller's family, the Helen Keller family. I helped them find a teacher for 6-year-old Helen Keller. And Helen Keller and I became lifelong friends. On April 2nd, 1922, I died at the old age of 75 years old.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Franklin. I was born January 6, 1706. I lived in Boston, Massachusetts. My family had a mom, dad, and 16 brothers and sisters. I was married and had a wife and 3 children. I went to a Boston school from age 8 to 10. My brother had to go to jail for bad-mouthing Britain in his newspaper, the Gazette. I took over the Gazette as sole owner and editor, and it became one of the most famous papers in the colonies. Also, I had a lot of other accomplishments too. I became the first bookseller in Pennsylvania. I opened the first public library at the age of 24. I wrote Poor Richard's Almanac, and it was the most famous almanac around. Did you know I trapped lightning in a jar? You must know that story. Also, I invented bifocals, which is eyeglasses. I helped write the Declaration of Independence, and I also helped write the Constitution. I died 2 months later at the age of 84.
How are we all feeling today? I am Phyllis Wheatley, a slave in the Wheatley's house. In 1761, I came to America at the age of 8 on a slave ship that took me from my homeland, Africa. The ship landed in the Boston Harbor. That's when the Wheatleys took me in. Susanna Wheatley taught me how to read and write. When I was a young woman, I got baptized in the Old South Meeting Church. I became a writer at the age of 20, and more than 30 of my copies of my poems were published. When I was a teen, I got a disease called tuberculosis. I sailed across the sea to London and met Mr. Franklin and the mayor. When I got back, the Wheatleys set me free. A few years later, when I went to England when I got back to the U.S., the Wheatley's house had blown up. In 1778, I got married to John Peters. I had 3 kids, but sadly they all died of young age. I spoke against slavery in 1784. I died at the age of 31. No one came to my funeral. Everyone, my name is John Fitzgerald Kennedy. You can call me Jack. I was born on May 29th, 1917. I have a big family. My parents' names are Joe Sr. and Rose. I have 4 brothers, Joe Jr., Robert, Bobby, and Teddy. I also have 3 sisters named Rosemary, Eunice, and Kathleen. I got very sick 3 times in my life. A long time ago, I used to work at my dad's paper place. I didn't like it there, so I started my own print place. At dinner time, my mother always taught me and my brothers and sisters about Catholic churches. Also at dinner time, everybody got an assignment. He or she had to find out something about the person they were assigned by the next night's dinner. Once I went to Europe with my best friend. His name is Lem Billings. Guess what? I live in a 36-room house. Once I owned a ship, but it got split in 2. I got married to a beautiful woman named Jackie, and we had a little boy and a girl named Caroline and John. A long time ago, I was stuck on an island a long way from shore. I had to swim all the way back. After that, I ran for president and I won. I gave one of the shortest speeches in inaugural history. It begins, and so my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I unveiled my proposal for a peace corps, an army of young people who would volunteer 2 years of their life fighting poverty and disease around the world. Also, I gave money to NASA and people went to space. While I was president, Lee Harvey Oswald shot me. That is a little bit about my life.
Good morning. I am Louisa May Alcott. I was born on October 29, 1832. My mom's name is Abbott and my dad's name is Bronson. My sisters' names are May, Anna, and Elizabeth. My father was a teacher and I went to his school. In 1845, at the age of 13, I put on plays in barns. In 1848, I opened a school in the barn. I wrote a story called Flower Fables, and it was later published. That was my first book published. In May 1868, I started the first half of Little Woman. It was published in October in 1869. The second part of Little Woman was published later on in 1869. During the Civil War, I wanted to do more for the brave men who were fighting, so I decided to become a nurse. In 1862, at the age of 30, to help the sick and injured. I was good at it. I made people laugh and feel better too. In January 1863, I got a sickness called typhoid, and I was sent home from nursing. My mom died in 1877. I wrote a ton of good books. My most famous book is called Little Woman. I adopted my sister's baby Lulu when she died, and then I died on March 6, 1880.
Good morning, my fellow people. I am Clarissa H. Barton. You may know me as Clara Barton, Angel of the Battlefield. I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born on December 25th, 1881. I have a father named Stephen, a mother named Sarah, a sister named Dorothy, a brother named Stephen, a brother named David, and a sister named Sally. In 1829, when I was 8 years old, I went to boarding school, but I left before the term ended. From 1832 to 1834, I took care of my sick brother David. I went to Clinton Library Institute in 1852, but I left there too because my mother Sarah got sick. In 1857, when I was 36, I took courses in French and art. In 1862 through 1865, I went to the front in the Civil War. I delivered supplies and nursed the injured. In 1863, I became very ill and was told by the military they did not want my help. Instead, through letters, I helped find missing soldiers. On May 21st, 1881, the Red Cross Association was formed in America. The American Red Cross Association supplies people with food and supplies during disasters. Before I left, I taught people how to handle the American Red Cross Association. I died April 12, 1912, and the funeral procession was from Glen Echo to North Oxford, Massachusetts.
Hello, my name is Emily Dickinson. I was born on December 10th, 1830 in Amherst, Massachusetts. My mother's name is Emily Knockcross Dickinson and my father's name is Edward Dickinson. I have a sister named Lavinia and a brother named Austin. In 1835, I went to school in a one-room schoolhouse. Then in 1840, I moved up to Amherst Academy. It was very fun there. Eventually, I went to Mount Holyoke in 1847. Between 1874 and 1882, my mother and father died. To make matters worse, in 1883, my nephew Gilbert died. Perhaps you recognize my name. I'm famous because I wrote 1,775 poems in my lifetime. In 1861, Springfield Republican published I Taste the Liquor Never Brewed. Then in 1862, Springfield Republican published Safe in Their Alabaster Chambers. After that, in 1865, Springfield Republican published A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. Of course, all of these poems are mine. A book was published with a lot of my poems in 1890, but that was after I died. I died in Amherst, Massachusetts on March 15, 1886. The end.
Hello everyone, I am the famous Benjamin Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706 in Boston, Massachusetts. I was raised on Milk Street in Boston. My mother and father had 17 children, including me. I do indeed have a lot of brothers and sisters, don't I? My mother and father are by on their side. At first, my father didn't have enough money to send me to school. But then he had to. There was a law that you got to send your child to school. I didn't like that. My education was the Boston Latin School in 1714. I didn't like that school very much. I didn't understand carrying in addition. 1 year later, in 1715, I was sent to the writing school. That was a school that I did like. I had to work for my brother James in his prison. He had to go to jail, so I ran the print shop. When he got out of jail, he was not grateful. He beat me up, so I ran away to New York, New Jersey, and finally Philadelphia. I was an apprentice printer. In 1729, I bought and ran the Pennsylvania Gazette. It was the most successful in the colonies. In 1733, I wrote The Poor Richard's Own. In 1733, I also wrote the famous phrase, "A penny saved is a penny earned," and "An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure." Some of the other famous things I invented were the bifocals, lightning rod, and the Franklin stove. When I died in 1790 at the age of 84, 20,000 people attended the funeral.
Good morning. My name is Clara Barton. I was born on Christmas Day, December 25th, 1821, in North Oxford, Massachusetts. I have a mother, a father, an older sister, Dolly, and two older brothers named Stephen and Jacob. My real name is Clarissa, but it was too long, so we made it Clara. I went to boarding school in 1831 because my parents thought when I came back I wouldn't be shy. But I came back from boarding school because I was so homesick. I never got to do the things I wanted. I wanted to do the things that boys did, like skate and ride horses. In 1839, I became a school teacher. I opened the first free public school in New Jersey, 1952. I couldn't work there because women weren't supposed to be in a position of power. In 1881, I started the American Red Cross. It is a place where nurses help heal people. I also helped in the Civil War battlefield. When I got older, I worked as a nurse in Europe. In 1904, I retired from the American Red Cross. It was the saddest moment of my life. I died on Good Friday, April 12, 1912. I was 91 years old. I was buried in my hometown, North Oxford, Mass.
Good morning, I am Kiko. I was born in 1638. I was born in Pokanoket, Bristol, Rhode Island. I was a Wampanoag. My father is Massasoit and my brother was Wamasuta. I had no education. I never went to school or college. I had a son. His name was Wampapa Quinn. We had a war on Mount Hope. We got attacked on Sudbury, April
1675. We had a great swamp fight. I was chief of the Wampanoags. I also signed treaties. I died August 12, 1676.
Good morning, class. My name is Benjamin Franklin. I was born January 17, 1706 on Milk Street in Boston. I have 10 brothers and 7 sisters, one mother and one father. I went to a Latin school in Boston in 1714. Then I went to a writing school in 1715. I started the fire department. I started the first public library in the United States. I also invented the Franklin stove in the United States. I was 36 years old. Then I invented the lightning rod. Then I married a woman named Deborah Reed in 1730. I had a son named William and a son named Francis. I also had a daughter named Sarah in 1743. Sadly, my wife died in 1753. In 1776, I was picked to sit on the team to write Declaration of Independence. I signed a petition to the first Congress of the United States calling for an end of slavery. Then I passed away and died on April 17, 90 at the age of 84.
Good morning. My name is Helen Keller. I was born in 1880, June 27, 1880. In February, when I was only 18 months old, I got very sick and became deaf-blind. When I was 5, my sister Mildred was born. When I was 6, my Sandy came to teach. She was there to help me because I was in tantrums. When I was little, I kicked and hit Danny. Annie took me to Perkins Institute where I learned a lot. When I was 18, I got into Radcliffe College. I graduated in 1904. About 32 years later, in 1936, Miss Annie got sick and died. Then my life got dark. Annie and I have been companions for almost 55 years, but now Miss Polly Thomas was at my side. I still miss Annie terribly, though. For years I traveled around the world, speaking for the deaf and for the blind. Sadly, on June 1st, 1960, I died. I was 88 years old.
Good morning. My name is Massasoit. Massasoit stands for the Brave One. I was born in Bristol, Rhode Island. My birth is 1590. My son, Medic Thomas, grew up to be King Philip. One day, Medic Thomas' mother told all the women to get ready for the maple drive. The maple drive is when we collect maple and cook it and then eat it. That day, I went with my friends into the woods and we walked. We saw a black bear and it was coming up to me. I shot it twice in the neck and then it hit me down, knocked me down with his paw. I got back out and I took my knife out and I stabbed it. I saved my friends. After we got back, we ate some maple. A couple months later, we traveled to Plymouth to meet the Pilgrims. We showed them how to make arrows and killer food. I died in 1669.
Hi everyone, I am Ben Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706 in Boston, Mass. My dad's name was Josiah, my mom's name was Abaya. In 1718, I was an apprentice with my brother James. In 1728, I opened my own print shop. In 1731, I found the first public library. In 1776, I signed the Declaration of Independence. In 1778, I negotiated the Treaty of Alliance with France. In 1787, I signed the Constitution of the United States. In 1752, I did a science experiment to see how electricity worked. I also once made swim fins. I died in 1790, April 17th, at the age of 84.
My name is Samuel Finley Brees Morse. When I was young, I got in trouble a lot. I drew a picture that represented me and my brother. When I was older, I became an artist and entered the sculpture contest and worked for 5 years. My wife died at the age of 38. When the contest was over, a war started. It lasted about 5 years. In 1814, I escaped so I would not be involved. I died in 1990. Oh, I forgot to. I died in 1990 and invented the telegraph. I worked on the telegraph for many, many years. Finally, after 10 years, Congress voted to spend $30,000 to the test of the telegraph. That would be enough money to lay cables underground from Washington to Baltimore. 27 years later, there was a statue of me in Central Park. Telegraphers from Canada and the U.S. paid for it. I was so excited.
Good morning. I'm Alexander Graham Bell. I was born on March 3rd, 1847, in Edinburgh, Scotland. I went to school at Royal High School. I was a bad student. I had horrible headaches. I had syphilis tuberculosis. I had trouble trying to invent a multiple telegraph. I got my first teaching job at 16 years old. I invented the telephone in 1876. In 1908, I plane flew in Hammondsport, New York. In 1915, Watson and I made the first transcontinental phone call. I taught at Boston School of Deaf. I became a U.S. citizen. I met Helen Keller and talked to Thomas Edison. I died August 2nd, 1922. The whole telephone system in North America shut down for 1 minute when I died.
Good morning, everyone. I am Nathan Hale. I was born June 6, 1755, in Coventry, Connecticut. I have a brother, Enoch, who went to school with me, and I have 12 other brothers and sisters. I went to Yale College and became a teacher. I became a lieutenant on the British supply ship in 1775. I was promoted to captain in 1776. In 1773, argued in favor of education for girls. I graduated from Yale and taught school in East Hampton, Connecticut. I had to help my country because General Washington needed a pirate spy to gather information about the British troops. I was hanged by the British September 22nd, 1776. My last words were, I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country.
Hi, my name is Susan B. Anthony. I was born February 15, 1820 in Adams, Massachusetts. I have two sisters, Wilma and Hannah. My family includes my mom, Lucy Anthony, and my father, Daniel Anthony. My only education was at home in the Bentonville Schoolhouse in 1862. Some of my struggles were that the Society of Women's Suffrage Movement or women's suffragists wasn't working well enough to convince people to let my idea work. Accomplishments weren't easy. They were that I led the women's temperance movement. We were trying to control or eliminate the consumption of alcohol. I also made many speeches that everyone should vote. Did you know that I was once arrested? I was arrested because I voted even though it was illegal. Finally, I died on March 13, 1906 through pneumonia. So I hope that all of you women vote in all the elections.
Hi, my name is John F. Kennedy. I was born on May 29, 1917 in Brooklyn, Mass. I have 3 brothers and 5 sisters. Jacqueline Vieira, John Jr., and Caroline, and my daughter. I went to Dexter School in Brooklyn in 1925. I also went to Children's School in Midford in 1931. In 1943, the PT-109 was attacked by Japanese destroyers. I swam to safety out of the Candy Patch Mahan, and I swam to another island of food, water, and heart. I wrote an SOS message on a coconut and gave it to the natives who promised to deliver it to the U.S. soldiers nearby. We got rescued that night. I ran for Congress January 3rd. I was sworn in as a United States Congressman during the first days in the House of Representatives. I was mistaken for the House speech and asked to run an errand. In 1960, I ran for president and beat Richard Nixon, became the 35th president of the United States. After being president for 3 years, I decided to run for president again. We flew to Dallas, Texas to start my campaign. While in a parade at 12:30 in the afternoon, my car drove past Texas School in Brooklyn Brook Depository. A few minutes later, a bullet hit me in the neck. Before anyone knew what had happened, another bullet hit me in the back of the head. At 1 p.m., the reporters announced the horrible news that I was dead.
Hi, I am Ben Franklin. I was born on January 17, 1706. I was on Milk Street, Boston. I had a dad named George and 6 brothers and sisters. I also had a mom. I worked in a candle making shop after 2 years of school. I then built swimming paddles. Then I worked as an apprentice in my brother's print shop. In 1728, I ran away. I got a job at a different print shop. Then I became a clerk. Then I was a scientist. I did my famous experiment using a kite. Then I built many things. For example, bifocal glasses, and a long arm to get books on my shelves. Then it was a general. I then ended the task. Then came the Boston Massacre. I lived through a deadly disease. In 1730, I married Deborah Reed and had a daughter and 2 sons. In 1776, my committee drew up the Declaration of Independence. I died on April 17, 1790. Now that I've announced my death, I will fade away to the figment of your imagination.
Hello. I am not here right now. I am a person of your imagination. My name is Paul Revere. I was born on January 1st, 1735. I went to 2 schools, infant school and North Riding School. At 13, I left school. When my father died, I became a provider for my family. I am the second of grandchildren. I became a dentist. I made fake teeth out of hippopotamus tusk. I became a leader for my secret club, the Sons of Liberty. They threw teams to the Boston Harbor so people would not have to pay taxes. I made church balls at least 500 pounds. My friend William Dawes and I rode to warn the American soldiers, Minutemen, in Lexington and Concord and May. The British are coming, the British are coming. I died on May 10th, 1818 in Boston, Massachusetts, after a long illness. I was 83 years old. I am not here right now. I am a figment of your imagination. In 5 seconds, I will be gone. Count to 5 and close your eyes.